Update. My 24 male girlfriend, 23 female just broke up with me because of her work friends. Original post. I have been with my girlfriend Kate exclusively for 5 years, but on and off for 2 years before. A lot of my first happened with her. We went to each other's prom/school dances and supported each other through tough times. I know Kate is out of my league, and I did all I could to make her feel safe and secure. I'm in love with her and wanted a future with her. I went off to college and got a double major while Kate went into cosmetology school. We were planning to move in with each other in a few months and talked about marriage and children. But for the last couple months, she kept making comments like, "My coworkers keep asking why I'm with you. Coworker thinks that you're not in my league. My coworkers want me to hang out with them and meet new people." Every time I would ask Kate what she thought, she always said that she loves me and ignores the comments. Tell them to stop. But her coworkers just kept saying these comments. We always had open communication, talked things out. We haven't had any major issues. We argue over little things such as movies and TV/anime shows, food, etc., and we don't hide anything. These comments started when she got the job at that salon. She works with all women. She did not cheat or anything. No emotional affairs, no hiding locations, no secret social media. Then the other night we had a nice date, had a good after date. But when I dropped her off at her place, she commented that she was having doubts about our relationship and wanted to break up. I was super confused and didn't say anything, just slowly walked away. I know it was because of her coworkers, the comments they were making and pushing her to leave me. She said so in a message. Then less than 4 hours later, she started calling me and texting me saying she was sorry, didn't mean it, that she loves me and that she was stupid for what she said, /listening to her new friends. That she was going to quit and find a different job and stop talking to her friends/coworkers. I have not responded to any of them. I'm conflicted. I love her. I have a ring being made for her, even money saved for a house for both of us. We share 85% of our friend groups, then the rest are from our jobs, and most of our shared friends have now heard about the breakup and seem just as confused as I am. From some of the messages I have received, it looks like she told them the truth. That her coworker started to give her insecurities about our relationship, and she stupidly went with it. Her parents tried to reach out to me asking what happened, as we are very close, but I have been radio silent. Luckily, I can work remotely. I left my apartment yesterday with my laptop and found a nice place with good internet to still do my job. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. She was going to quit and find a different job. Stop talking to her friends/coworkers. This won't work. Because no matter where she goes, there will be people there. If she's so easily swayed by random people and listens to them more than the history of her 7-year relationship with you, her changing her location isn't going to help. My coworkers keep asking why I'm with you. Coworker thinks that you're not in my league. My coworkers want me to hang out with them and meet new people. She is attributing this to her coworkers, but she obviously feels the same way, or she wouldn't be mentioning it. I would never repeat that garbage to my partner, ever. What would be the point? It would only make them feel terrible. She feels this way, but is too scared to say it, so she blames it on her coworkers. Could you imagine coming home to her and repeatedly telling her that your coworkers think you're too good for her? Who tells their partner that crap? So unnecessary. She wants to break up with you and has been pussyfooting around it. Now she finally did it, and she regrets it. Not because she still wants to be with you and thinks she made a mistake, but because she's afraid of the unknown. She's been with you so long she doesn't know how to move forward without you. She kept repeating all that hurtful stuff her coworkers were saying, and bringing it up over and over because she was trying it on for size. She was inching closer and closer to breaking up with you, until she finally did it. Let the breakup stand. I know it's painful, but I think it is already over for her, and it's just fear and anxiety keeping her with you at this point. In my experience, you'll have, at most, a tumultuous, hurtful year or 2 with her, and then it will end badly anyway. Save yourself the time and torture. I reckon she was fishing. She maybe wanted something akin to, "Yeah, you are. Maybe we should go separate ways." But instead, OP handled it like an adult and put the onus back onto her. Ever since, it's been a ticking clock, until the confirmation bias from her coworkers gave her the courage. I expect OP's ex is just what a salesperson would call an easy mark. I imagine it is why she came crawling back after 4 hours. As soon as anyone other than her coworkers got wind of it, the validating circle jerk stopped, and she panicked. I don't necessarily think getting back together would lead to the exact same issue down the line. I suspect friends and family have brought her down a few pegs. But Opie and Dex are clearly in very different places in terms of maturity, and that may manifest in equally damaging ways. Given Opie is clearly ready for more, I don't think it would be fair or right for him to hang around for an indefinite amount of time for his ex to catch up. If a woman I was dating said to me she might be out of my league, let alone broke up with me for that reason, I'd never even consider a relationship with her anymore. That's so damn disrespectful, and to me, them thinking like that shows they wouldn't deserve me. I know my worth, and so should you. Shifting the blame just makes it worse. Either they are weak, or they wanted to believe said coworkers. Either way, I'd never trust them again. Now for the updates. Quick update. After I posted, my boss sent me an urgent message asking if we could do a Zoom meeting. I accepted. When his image came up, there were 2 cops behind him. Apparently, someone they wouldn't name asked them to do a wellness check on me. They tried my apartment and no one was there. Then my work. I was not there. My boss knew I was actively working remotely and called me. I had to explain I was alright, just had my phone off due to the drama. I'm also supposed to go to her parents' house tonight. Update 2. We did not have a meeting last night. I rescheduled it for tonight, Friday. Life also has a way of kicking you when you are down. As I was going through my missed calls last night, I got a voicemail saying that my ring would be ready to pick up today, Friday. I also want to apologize for spelling and grammar mistakes. I have not been in my right mind the last few days. Thanks for all the feedback. I will probably update tomorrow or Sunday. Update 3. Thanks for the messages and comments. It has been an emotionally draining few days. On Friday, I cleared all my voicemails and texts. I ended up with 61 missed calls, 4 from the police, 14 voicemails, and 417 text messages. I sent a generalized message to those who reached out, stating that I was okay and safe, as well as need time and space while I work out with some personal issues. I picked up the ring since it was already paid for, then put it in the box I made for it, then went to her parents' house. As soon as I pulled up, Kate opened the door and ran out. She had been crying, went to give me a hug I accepted, but it wasn't how I usually hug. She then tried to kiss me, but I moved my head and backed up. We went in and sat down. We sat for about 10 minutes not saying anything. She started crying and said she was sorry. I just responded with okay. I asked her what she told everyone. She said the truth. I asked her why the cops were called to check on me. She explained that she didn't call them. After our friends found out, they tried reaching out. And after none of them had heard from me in over 24 hours, they decided to call in a wellness check. Kate used the word catatonic to describe me after I walked away. Then I took a bunch of the questions you guys posted. I asked her why did you break up with me? She didn't give me a straight answer. Something about people at work constantly talking bad about me and playing on her insecurities. I asked her why she kept letting that happen and not put a stop to it by setting clear boundaries. She said that she tried, and it would work for a day but would go back the next. I asked if she saw value in me as a person or in our relationship. She said that she does in both. I asked why would she break up over something a random stranger said about me. She said she was sorry, and it was a dumb mistake, which I'm paraphrasing. I asked how did they know about me or our relationship, and how much did they talked about me. The ladies at the salon overheard Kate talk to some of our friends or customers while she was working about me. Things we did like dates, birthday parties, etc. Did she believe her coworkers were right? She said no. I then followed up with why. She said again she did not know. I asked her if there was someone else. She immediately said no. She's never cheated, nor been tempted to. She offered me her phone, which I declined. I then told her how I felt. That sorry isn't enough. If she wants this relationship, she needs to prove it to me. I didn't care that her coworkers kept talking about us. It's that you listened. It isn't what they said that hurts. It's the fact that you kept listening to it and repeated it back to me. She didn't try hard enough to stop them, and it makes me feel like she had to feel the same way to an extent. That is what hurt and damaged the relationship. That her insecurities are what broke my trust, and I will now always think that this might happen again. She will run off at the next opportunity. She then asked why I just walked away. I told her that at that moment, just 2 sentences broke me and made me rethink my life up to that point and the future I was planning with us together. I was growing and making moves for that future. She started crying harder and I felt bad. The next thing I did, I regret. I asked her if she knew I was going to propose soon. She said no. I pulled out and showed her the box. I made the box as well. It has 2 buttons, one that says yes and one that says no. It has lights that say, "Will you be my life partner?" I set it on the table and pressed yes. The box opened and she started to cry even harder. The ring is both of our birthstones that form the shape of a complemented heart with small diamonds surrounding it, laser engraved initials, and dates of our anniversary. I had it made so that it could be added onto if/when we had kids. Her parents were there, but were more just to make sure things kept civil. Her mom was crying, and her dad looked angry but not at me, and both made comments about the ring/box. I told her that the future I had planned was not going to happen anymore. We need to give each other space. At least 3 months with no communication. We need to take a step back and look at who we are and what we want moving forward. After that, we will see where we are at. But this is on my terms and timeline. I can't return the ring, so I don't know what to do with it. Might end up just give it to her if things don't work out, after 3 months or longer. She said that most of our shared friends told her off and blocked her. Her parents are angry and her little sister hasn't talked to her since the first night. I said I'm sorry, but actions have consequences. I wished her the best, thanked her parents for all they have done to me and hugged them. I knocked on her little sister's door who I have known all of her life, thanked her as well, hugged her and left. I have 4 months in my lease and I'm thinking of possibly moving when it expires. Tonight I'm hanging out with a good friend, Mr. Johnny Walker, just for tonight. I will get my life going again tomorrow. I don't know if there will be another update or not. This made me so sad. It sounds like you were fully invested in the relationship, but I don't think she was, especially if she was that easily influenced by coworkers. You deserve better. Please take care of yourself. That is what hurts the most at the moment. I feel like 80% of my identity was doing what I could to improve our relationship and our future. I now feel like a bird that is afraid of heights. I feel bad for Opie, but I also don't see a balance. I would suggest a therapist. Waiting 3 months may not be productive. They both need to figure out whether they want to solve their problems or walk away. I'm so sorry this happened to you, but she has a lot of maturing to do if she was going to listen to her friends over you. This would always play into your life. Not even her friends. Colleagues who only know about Opie and the relationship because they overheard Kate talk to some of our friends and customers. She was not ready for marriage. This might be a blessing in disguise. Girl threw away a good one to impress idiots at work who were probably jealous. Shaking my head. Let's not forget she can do so much better than him with her cosmetology degree, because he's beneath her somehow with his double major university degree. Opie's ex is not the sharpest crayon in the box there. Now for the last update. Not sure if anyone will read this, but if things didn't go down the way that they did, I would have asked her to be my wife tonight at midnight. Our first date was on Leap Day. We would have been married on Leap Day of next year. Now for the last story. I, 28 male, rejected a woman, 22 female I love because she has an FWB. I'll try and keep this as short and to the point as I can. We met at work last year and became friends pretty much instantly. Started hanging out at lunch, which moved on to us hanging out outside of the workplace. The first time I saw her, I was struck by how beautiful she is. And as time has gone on, her beauty has become the least interesting thing about her, as she is smart, funny, caring, sweet, intriguing, charismatic, honest, genuine, etc. I could keep going on about how amazing she is. A few months into our friendship, I attempted to move it onto something more intimate. I asked her for dinner and drinks. She was grateful for me being honest about my feelings, but explained that she was not looking to date anyone. I was fine with that. Life goes on. I didn't lose my feelings for her, but I did pull back. Admittedly, I did ask her out again a few weeks ago, but she said she was busy on the weekend. I asked. Again, fine. Life goes on. Recently, she started showing interest, flirting, complimenting, teasing more than usual, etc. Then today she told me that she had been rethinking things and would like to accept my offer of going on a date if it still wasn't too late. I was over the moon and said yes, but then she said she had to tell me something. She started an FWB relationship with someone about a month ago. She met a guy whilst out with her friends. She went back to his for the night, which turned into a whole weekend. They took each other's numbers and started seeing each other. She explained that she doesn't have feelings for this man, just that he was someone she was having fun with. After she told me about her situation, I said I need to think about things. I'm a traditionalist. When I like someone, I just want that person and no one else. I don't have any interest in seeing anyone else. I spent my time thinking about that person. It's just who I am and how I've always been. My way of thinking perhaps goes against every piece of advice every dating expert on the planet will give, but it's my life, and I live it my way. I don't have anything against people having casual hookups or FWB, but for me, I just don't like the idea of putting in my time, effort, and money just for someone else to reap the rewards with something as simple as a UDTF text. After a bit of thinking, I phoned her and told her I'm not interested in moving our relationship forward. It killed me to hear about her FWB. It killed me more to reject her. Maybe in time they'll stop seeing each other, and me and my friend will move on with each other. But for now, I just don't think I'm ready to accept her situation. And I don't want to present her with an ultimatum. Has anyone else been in a situation like this? How did it feel? Do you regret your decision? Did I do the right thing? Should I have given her an ultimatum? The only thing I was certain of was sticking to my beliefs, even if some might call them immature. Now for the advice. Did I do the right thing? You did the right thing for you, OP. That's really the only thing that matters, correct? 100%. Every one of us is allowed to have our own personal standards and personal boundaries. Who cares what dating experts say? Who cares what people think about your style? It's totally reasonable for you to not want to date this girl and get to know her, while she goes home at the end of the night to hook up with someone else. That's your decision. You did the right thing. Don't sweat it. 800,000% this. It would be incredibly awkward to go on dates trying to get to know someone, knowing they're sleeping with someone else casually. That would be a huge no for me, and any reasonable person I know. I guess this varies from person to person, but typically having an FWB is highly inappropriate when also dating others in context of leading to a committed boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Though it does seem as though intentions/lifestyles weren't communicated well at all from the very start, and I think that's the most of the issue. You don't even have to consider yourself a traditionalist to be uncomfortable with this. I have never been in a situation like that, but I am here to validate your feelings. Validate, but also point out that I think as long as you don't shame her for her lifestyle and truly just agree to disagree, it was absolutely the right move to break things off and move on. Two different types of people. Update. Would I be the a-hole if I refused to have intimacy with my husband? Original post. Around mid-August of 2019, me 28 female and my husband 35 male tied a knot between us. He has 2 kids from his previous marriage. He and his ex-wife are co-parenting their kids. I really love the kids. One of the major factors why I got married with him was kids. I have reasons for that. My father died when I was 15. My mom wasn't so highly educated, so with that last education qualification, she couldn't provide for me and my other 3 younger brothers all alone. So I started to do part-time jobs. I babysat, cleaned people's yard, took out pets for walk, did assignments of my classmates, etc. I earned really little money with that, but it helped my family a little bit. When I was 17, I took a food delivery job. One night, around 10 or 11, I was dropping food at the other side of the city. A drunk driver hit my cycle and I went into a terrible accident. The driver needed to pay a large fine for that since my condition was very critical. I had a lot of internal bleeding and damage. So because of that accident, the doctor confirmed that in the future the chances of me getting pregnant is very small, that it'll be a miracle for me to have my own kid. I was at the lowest part of my life because of that accident. I couldn't go out or do my work on my own. My family took care of me. It took me around 8 months to get well. At first, I didn't mind having a childless life, but when I started to notice my friends having families, I realized the beauty of motherhood. So I started dating guys with kids. My husband was my second boyfriend. We tied knot after we dated for 10 months. When I got married, his son was 11 and his daughter was 7. I got along with them well. It took them few months before they started to call me mama on their own. I left my job to be the stay-at-home mom for them. Honestly, I really adore them. I have a good relationship with their bio mom too. After COVID, we went to Belgium for our second anniversary on 2021. The trip was all good, and I remember feeling so loved. The day before we were supposed to come back to our home, he proposed the idea of opening our marriage. If I say I was hurt, will be an understatement. I couldn't look in his eyes without feeling hollow and sorrow. I said no multiple times after coming back from the trip, but he kept persisting. And after a couple of weeks, I gave up and agreed. He set the terms. I don't remember most of it, but few of his terms was to never share this information with others. We can't date our exes or friends, no emotional attachment with our partners, and always use protection. In his words, he still loves me. He only opened the marriage because he wanted to gain experience and use it in our marriage. I remember going to sleep hurt and crying all night. I gave up my job to take care of him and the kids, yet he yearned for another woman. We became distant. He noticed that and tried to initiate intimacy with me, but I don't feel anything at all. I just lay there until he is done. I also distanced myself from him. The idea of him having intimacy with other women while being in a marriage with me disgusted me. I couldn't look at him the same way I used to. We always have our location on so I could see where he is going. Those used to hurt me a lot until I became completely numb at this point. Now I don't see him as my husband, but someone I tied knots with to be a mother. Last year, I told him I want to start to work again. He got kinda defensive. He listed some reasons to explain why I can't work. And when he saw that all his tricks weren't working, he pulled the kids into the mess. He knew I have soft spots for his kids, but I didn't back down that time. He gave me cold shoulder and went on a trip with one of his girlfriends. I applied to be a teacher at my brother's high school. He is the youngest of all my siblings and a sophomore. I'm teaching chemistry at a school. My husband was mad at me for having a job for a few months, but he relented and I started to give myself more alone time. Since the kids have extracurricular activities, they always don't stay at home. I have a friend circle from high school. I hang out with them every 2 weeks. I met a guy in my workplace. He is 29 and have 3 kids with his late wife. One day, I ranted about my whole situation. He showed interest in me after that. He is a nice guy. I went on few dates with him. Nothing physical happened between us. I think I'm relying on him for mental support since he is very supportive of me. I haven't felt something like that for a long time in my life. Now, a few days ago, I went to the salon and cut my hair short to shoulder length. My husband complimented me multiple times that day. The kids went to their grandparents' house for summer vacation. During the night, he tried to initiate intimacy. Well, I straight up said no for the first time. I think he was taken aback. He had mixed expressions that I can't put a finger on. He started to use the husband card on me, and I put my foot down and said no. We had a huge argument, and he left. I saw his location. He went to one of his girlfriend's place. He didn't contact me for 2 days now. Now I'm conflicted. Even if I don't feel anything towards him, he is still my husband. I can't share this with anyone, so I need advice on this. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Info. Is having children really worth a husband who demanded an open marriage and did not want to have financial independence? It wasn't like that from the early days. After COVID, I noticed some changes, but didn't really pay any attention. That time, all I wanted was to have a child to raise like my own. Before him, I dated another guy with a kid. He was nice, but he had a lot of issues. Plus, I resigned from my previous workplace on my own volition. I really wanted to devote myself to the kid's life. It was a mistake, but now I have a job which pays me double the amount than before. I still love the kids. They're all I could ask for in children. He was already cheating. He just wanted permission after the fact. Leave now. Girl, the marriage was over when he proposed an open marriage. Just divorce. Love yourself more. A man who truly loves his wife doesn't go outside a marriage for anything. Your husband just wants a stable life at home and someone to watch his kids when they're there and have his fun with another woman. He's selfish. Get some therapy, divorce, and live your life. And once you heal yourself, you'll be blessed with a man who truly loves only you. Don't waste any more time and tears on that man. Plus, he wanted her to be financially dependent, so she couldn't leave. And wanting to gain more experience for her sake? What a crock. OP, if you see these posts, take the suggestions. Leave him. He is using you as a live-in babysitter. Now for the first update. Last night I made a post about my current situation of my marriage and asked for an unbiased view. There are almost 300 people who responded and gave me advice. I couldn't respond to any of them since I was overwhelmed with emotions. There are a few things I want to clarify. Firstly, I met my husband after my graduation when I was looking for a job. I made things official with him after I had a job. We dated for 10 months before getting married. Secondly, his ex-wife and him were childhood sweethearts who married each other when they were in college. After the birth of their second child, they realized they don't have the same bond, so they got divorced and have 50-50 custody. Thirdly, few people in my previous post asked me to make things official with my coworker. I would do that when I'm ready. Currently, my mental health isn't in the best state. I'm working on it. Plus, I can't have intimacy with anyone whom I barely know. We've been coworkers about almost a year, but still I am not ready to take that step yet. Lastly, those who are saying I am using sex as a punishment, it's quite opposite. He barely comes home. He is always out with the kids or his girlfriends. I would love to add that he doesn't have just one, but 3 girlfriends. And yes, all of them are aware of my existence. Now to the update. Last night, I made a post about the current situation of my marriage with my husband, asking if I would be the a-hole if I refused to have intimacy. He hasn't come back in the last 3 days or contacted me. The kids talk with me daily. I had few conversation with their bio mom too. They're over at her parents' place. Honestly, I thought he will get over it or won't bother me for a long time, but I was very wrong. During lunch, my mom came over to visit me. She asked if everything was okay between me and my husband. I didn't lie this time. I straight up said no. We had a long conversation about my marriage and I was relieved after that. It felt so good after sharing everything with her. I am not ashamed to admit I cried like a kid in her arms while explaining everything. She stayed with me the entire day. Then she called one of my younger brothers, 26, and told him everything. Saying he was mad would be an understatement. She asked why the heck I would suffer that much and scolded me for a couple of minutes. With the help of my mom and brother, I packed my stuffs. I didn't leave with any of the things he got me. Most likely we will get a divorce soon. I texted a short message in his number thanking him for being my husband, and I won't be continuing the marriage anymore, along with some personal stuffs between us. With the help of my friend and family, currently I am finding a lawyer. I don't know how long it'll take me to finally get out of the marriage. I left the house around evening and sent the messages around 7. After that, I muted his number. I also told his ex-wife about this. And needless to say, she was as much surprised as everyone, because it wasn't like that. She assured me that even after divorce, she will let me see the kids. I am really grateful for that part. Divorcing him will be easy since we always had separate accounts. I have little savings. Before I get on my own feet properly, I will be staying with my mom in our old house. I turned off my location before leaving his house, but it won't be long until he figures out where I am. He is currently messaging me, but I'm not strong enough to open them and read them, so I haven't responded or read his texts. Well done. If he gets upset, just remind him that he was the one who ruined the marriage by cheating. I say cheating because an open marriage only works if both partners are willing. A one-sided open marriage is just cheating. I hope OP listens to this. She did not agree to this and was browbeaten into submission. That's not an open marriage. He's been cheating on her and trying to justify himself. I know she needs her family to be strong for her right now, but hopefully soon she learns how strong she is and stands up to him and his BS. Good for you. You deserve a life where you are respected and your feelings validated. You will find true happiness as long as you keep advocating for yourself. Seriously, I'm so glad that OP followed what I read most people tell her. She deserves so much better. I must say, I will never understand why someone who is monogamous would ever agree to open a relationship in an effort to appease their spouse and save the relationship. It's over the moment they suggest it, and you might as well save yourself the time and pain of trying to work through it and divorce immediately at that point. Second update. Hi, it's me again. Thank you for all the support you guys gave on my previous post. I would write everything briefly as my lawyer suggested not to share anything too much. I got a lawyer the day after I left the house. He told me not to worry about anything currently. The divorce proceedings started a few days ago. My soon-to-be ex received the paper and he went ballistic. There were several emotional episodes from him. The proceedings will take time to conclude, at least 90 days. We had a prenup before marriage, so I won't be getting any of the assets. I don't want anything from him, plus my payment as a teacher is enough to fend for myself. I just want him to get out of my life and start everything over again. Lately, he have been messaging me a lot. telling me how he misses my cooking and stuff. It just weirds me out a lot, so I ignored his texts and calls. I only talk to him through lawyers. I used to feel trapped in this marriage, but now I feel a little bit free. Some relatives from his side contacted me. Mostly they're accusing me of letting him have his affairs. In their words, it's my fault that I couldn't tie my husband by the side and let him open the marriage. His mother sent few nasty texts, which I didn't expect from her since she's a woman too. I took screenshots of those. I might sue for harassment if anything goes further than just text messages or voicemails. He misses his bandmate. Stay away from this guy. He's bad news. He wants you to cook, clean, and take care of his kids. He doesn't respect you. Get your divorce. See the kids through his ex-wife and go no contact with him. Check out the book Human Magnet Syndrome. It has very good information on narcissists and codependency. Edited to add, did he say just once that he missed you? Missed your presence? Or was it just, I miss your cooking and how you fold my laundry? I feel like that's all very telling in how he feels about you. It's a very long rant. I didn't even read everything. But basically he missed how I used to cook homemade food for him. He doesn't like stale food, so I used to cook fresh meals for him always. Overall, he misses me in his house. So he only misses the stuff you do for him. He's selfish. Not the a-hole OP. Be proud that you finally put yourself first. You are valuable and worth to be loved. It doesn't matter if you can't bear children. That's not your personality. You are more than your uterus. I hope you find someone who loves you for who you are and not for what you can provide. Labor, time, chores. Thank you so much for your kind words. All credit goes to everyone for my previous posts. It helps me realize what's right and what's wrong. Last story. Am I the a-hole? My son's dad is about to be homeless and I have an extra room, but I don't want him to live with me. I, 29 female, have an 11-year-old son. His father, 32 male, and I broke up 10 years ago. We have had a decent co-parenting relationship. Son lived with his dad and visited me on weekends/breaks. Until 2 years ago when I discovered that he'd been reported for truancy. His dad just wasn't putting him on a bus to school. Seems like he didn't want to wake up that early, so his dad would drive him to school 1 to 2 hours late a few times a week. Took my name off the school paperwork, so I wasn't informed until I called to get a copy of his report card. I immediately went to court and got primary custody. Son has been excelling in my school district. His grades have improved, and he's much happier. His dad still lives with his parents, and it's been obvious that he's getting more and more depressed. We keep getting called back to court because he's not paying child support. Hasn't had a job in over a year. This isn't an issue for me financially, as I have a very good job and I'm able to support our son by myself. The relationship between my son's dad and his parents has been awful lately. They're treating him like a child, and he doesn't seem to understand how much of a burden it must be for them to be supporting a grown man who doesn't contribute. For a year now, I've been encouraging him to get into therapy and offering to help him with his resume and applications. He accepts the help, but always has excuses and why now isn't a good time. Now, he is being kicked out. His parents gave him a notice to vacate and will likely be taking him to court to evict him if he doesn't leave. We've agreed in writing that our son will not be staying with him until he has a place to live, and my son is happy because his grandparents have been awful to him lately. Son's dad picks him up regularly to go to the park or the movies, and this is working for all of us for now. He claims he has nowhere to go, no one to stay with. He's applying to jobs now, but he doesn't groom himself. He smells bad every time I see him, and he wears dirty clothes. He hasn't had any success with interviews. I've tried talking to him about this stuff, and about getting into therapy once again, but he always has excuses that honestly don't make much sense. I just bought a house and it has an extra bedroom. I am insanely proud of myself. I love having this independence, not living in an apartment and having so much privacy. Some of my friends have been pointing out the obvious solution of offering him my extra bedroom until he gets on his feet. I'm half expecting him to bring this up himself at some point. But I don't want this. I don't want a roommate. I certainly don't want a roommate that struggles to hold down a job, doesn't clean himself, and will be parenting the child I've worked so hard to instill new responsible habits in. We have very different approaches to parenting, and it works well from a distance but would not work together. At the same time, I feel awful if my son's dad was homeless. But this is a result of his choices. I used the time without my son to create a good life for myself, and I don't understand why he won't do the same. I've been trying to give him resources for government assistance, 211, etc., but keep getting these excuses that make no sense whatsoever. Now for the comments. Letting him move in would immediately become one of the worst mistakes of your life. Not a-hole. I completely agree. I worked hard for this house for my son and I. Do not adopt their son just because his parents kicked him out. You already have one child to care for. And my child showers regularly. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé my stepdaughter isn't mine? Sort it yourself? Original post. I'm a 27-year-old man and my fiancé is 30. We've been together for nearly 4 years. I have a 6-year-old son and she has an 11-year-old daughter from previous relationships. Up until now, we've never had any issues regarding the children. Yesterday, her daughter was set to go on a camping trip for a friend's birthday where they'd be doing activities like kayaking. My fiancé dressed her in a dress, and I mentioned to her that it didn't seem like the right choice for the occasion. She seemed offended and said her daughter could wear whatever she liked and that it wasn't a man's place to judge. I tried to clarify what I meant, but she cut me off, saying, "She's my daughter, not yours." I took my son to a pre-planned match when my fiancé rang me. It turned out the birthday girl's mom had told her daughter she couldn't go in a dress and needed to wear a tracksuit or something similar, so they didn't let her on the bus. My fiancé then asked if I could leave the match early to drive her daughter to the activity center. I replied, "Why should I? She's not my daughter and I'm here with my son." Neither of us are talking now. I do pity my stepdaughter and I wasn't being spiteful. My son was looking forward to it and it would be about 4 hours of travel. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Who sends a girl kayaking in a dress? Someone who's clearly never been kayaking. I've never been kayaking either, but common sense still tells me that a child in a dress is wildly inappropriate for the activity. Not the a-hole. Lol, you try to help her and she told you to butt out. Make sure to get an apology. Yeah, I'd say I'll be waiting for an apology. Dollars to donuts, you'll be waiting for a while. I'm gonna say this just in case. While waiting, be sure to spend time with your stepdaughter. Don't let her get caught in the middle between you and her mom butting heads. Regardless of who's the a-hole, she doesn't need this. Yeah, I'm taking her and my son to the camp next weekend instead. We won't do the camping part, but we'll do the activities. That's of course if I'm allowed to take her. My fiancé is obviously invited too, but only if she wears a dress. I'm joking. Not the a-hole. She can't be a snarky person and still expect you to help. She made her choice and choices have consequences. This relationship isn't lasting much longer, lol. And good, she sounds like a red flag. Yeah, I didn't want to sound like a drama queen, but I'm very surprised what she said and questioning some stuff. I see my stepdaughter as my daughter and would have expected the same with her and my son. I'm not saying I don't have a favorite child, but I love them both. Edit? From what I gather, I was a bit of an a-hole, and she was a bigger a-hole, so I'm going to try and talk it out and see what we both want. Now for the update. I had a conversation with my fiancé, and she asked why would I say something hurtful. I replied that I was just repeating what she said to me earlier. Then she asked if I loved her daughter, and I said I did. She asked if it was as much as I loved my son, and I responded, almost as much. She got cranky, so I asked her if she loved my son. She said no. I asked if she loved me, and her answer was sort of. She started crying, woke up her daughter, and told her they had to leave, though I hadn't told them to go. I said we could talk about it tomorrow, but she insisted, saying he doesn't want us anymore. I told her that I never said that. Her daughter began crying and didn't want to leave, but her mother said, "Don't make me leave on my own. He doesn't want you." I reassured them both that they were welcome to stay. My fiancé decided to leave without her daughter, and now she's not answering. When I spoke to my fiancé's daughter's father, he just laughed and said she couldn't even hold off on a crazy until after the wedding. That poor 11-year-old girl. This won't be the last time she has her life uprooted by her unstable mother. That poor girl deserves stability, not drama. I hope she finds a way to cope with all of this chaos. And you never noticed anything beforehand leading up to you proposing to this person that she's an absolute nut job? What's the go, OP? I genuinely didn't. My son loves her. Some people pointed out her picking her daughter's clothes was weird, but I never really thought about it. I had a mother like that, a similar level of crazy. Mine did some wild stuff. Best you can do is assure the girl you'll be there for her no matter what. Chances are you love that girl more than her mother does. That was my experience. My stepdad cares more about me than my mother does. Bio dad is dead, so not much choice with him. They're getting a divorce now that I'm an adult, and he's keeping me in the divorce. I'm glad you had him at least, and sorry about your bio dad. She's always welcome at mine. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend Thanksgiving dinner because my wife keeps hiding with her parents over me? My wife and I have been married for 5 years, and while I love her deeply, there's an issue that's causing a lot of strain in our relationship. Her parents are very involved in our lives, and they tend to voice their opinions on everything, from how we spend our money to how we should be raising our kids. We have two. I'm not close with my own family, so I always hoped my in-laws would feel like family to me. Instead, it feels like they criticize every decision I make, and my wife doesn't defend me. Whenever they make a comment about my job or our parenting choices, she just sits there or, worse, agrees with them. Last week, her dad made a dig about my job, saying something like, "If you worked harder, maybe you could afford a better home for the kids." My wife just laughed it off, and I felt humiliated. I later told her how much that hurt, but she brushed it off, saying that's just how they are. I told her I don't want to attend Thanksgiving at her place if I'm going to be treated this way, but she says I'm overreacting and making things difficult for her. Am I in the wrong for wanting to skip Thanksgiving if it means avoiding more of their disrespect, especially when my wife won't back me up? Dude, if you don't stand your ground now, later will be too late. Let's face it, there are expectations from you, and unless you are respected even if you provide everything later, it can be called as not man enough. Thanks, I think you're right. It's about setting boundaries now before things get worse. I need to make sure I'm respected in my own family. 100% not the a-hole. If my father-in-law insulted me at my job to my face in front of my wife and she laughed about it, I'd say there are several a-holes here and none of them is you. At best, he's an insensitive jerk. At worst, he's a grade A-hole. What kind of man behaves that way? She's behaving really badly for not defending you in front of him. Not going to Thanksgiving? Heck, I would not only never go to their house again, I would forbid them from entering mine. And you need to consider if your wife really has your best interests at heart. That's exactly how I feel. It's one thing to be criticized, but it's worse when my wife doesn't back me up. I really need to figure out where her loyalty lies. Your wife is the #1 problem here. If she's not in your side, who is? This is her family. She should be dealing with them on this. Instead, she's dismissing you. Exactly. It hurts that she won't stand up for me. Next story. Am I in the wrong for telling my ex-husband that our kids are justified in feeling like they don't have a father? I'm 33 and have 2 kids, 12 and 8. I divorced their dad when I discovered he was cheating on me with a mom from our younger son's school group. Despite that betrayal, I agreed to shared custody because I wanted my kids to grow up with their father in their lives. However, since the divorce, he's only been around when he's picking them up for visits. He often goes out with his stepchildren, but rarely includes our kids, claiming those outings are spur of the moment and can't always include them. Eventually, I stopped pushing, but I've always thought it was unfair that he keeps his distance from our children's lives. Recently, I decided to upgrade my older son's computer, and he asked if we could give his old one to his cousin, my brother's son. My brother has been a huge support for my kids. He's always available to take them to their school events when I can't, and often takes them out to the park or on trips when I'm busy. My ex, on the other hand, is rarely available for them. Anytime I ask him to help with an activity, he has an excuse. He's out of town or swamped with work. Ironically though, whenever his stepkids need something, he's there. Once he even argued with his stepkid's father at a school event, insisting he had a right to be there. When my ex found out I gave the computer to my nephew, he got upset. He complained that if I had money to spare on a gift like that, I should have forgiven 2 months of child support he'd missed, since his finances were tight with a new baby. He added that if I could give away a computer, I should have gifted it to either his kids or his stepkids, who shared just one computer among the 3 of them. I told him my finances were none of his business and that I owed nothing to his stepchildren. Then his wife jumped into the conversation, accusing me of spoiling my son by giving him a new computer and of being petty for letting my son bring it to their house, claiming it was just to show off in front of his step-siblings. I told her she had no right to speak to me that way or question my decisions. I added that I allow my kids to see their father so they can grow up with him in their lives, not so she can interfere with how I parent. My ex was offended, but I told him this whole situation could have been avoided if his wife hadn't inserted herself where she doesn't belong. After that, things seemed to calm down until last week. I went to pick up the kids, and my ex was visibly upset. He explained that he'd tried reading a bedtime story to our youngest. At home, he still likes to be read to before bed, usually by me, his brother or my brother. And when none of us are around, he listens to audiobooks. Apparently, my ex wanted to make an effort to connect, so he offered to read to him, but our son turned him down, saying he didn't need him for that because he could do it himself. My ex stayed to listen as he searched for a story for 8-year-olds without a dad on his tablet, and it hit him hard. The next day, my ex offered to take our older son to basketball practice, but he replied that he'd be going with his dad. He quickly corrected himself and said, "Uncle." That made my ex even angrier, and when I came to pick up the kids, he confronted me about it. I told him that if our kids feel like they don't have a father, he has only himself to blame. He tried to shift the blame onto me, saying I was the one pushing him away from his role. I told him it's up to him to show up for his kids. It's not something I can do for him. I reminded him he was the one who broke our family and has chosen to be more involved with his stepkids than with his own children. I told him not to kid himself. The kids are growing up, and they're starting to see the reality of who he is as a father. If he keeps this up, he can't expect much from them in the future. After that exchange, his mom called me. While she's always been polite to me, I felt the need to say that I would have appreciated this same concern from her when she supported her son's affair, knowing her grandchildren were losing their father in the process. She hung up, and we haven't spoken since. My brother advised me that I had every right to express how I feel, but he suggested that maybe this discussion shouldn't have happened in front of the kids. Later, my ex texted me saying that if I weren't so difficult, he'd spend more time with them. I told him his duty as a father doesn't depend on whether I'm easy or not, and he knows I've never prevented him from seeing the kids. The truth is, when he has to choose, he prefers outings with his stepkids over his own children, and that's something only he can change. Now for the top comments. You can only do so much, OP, and don't let him off the hook for any child support. The fact that it's stretching his budget is a him problem, not a you problem. And I agree with your brother that that conversation should have not happened in front of the kids. But if I understand correctly, your ex chose the time and place, not giving you much choice in the matter. Not the a-hole. I love how if she had extra money, she should forgive child support, but him already knowing money was tight wasn't a reason to not have another kid. My ex stayed to listen as he searched for a story for 8-year-olds without a dad on his tablet. Your kid is ruthless. Good for him. Not the a-hole. 8-year-olds can be ruthless. They seriously don't hold back. They understand so much more at that age. Last story. Am I the a-hole for returning my stepson's belongings to his mother's house? I, 35 female, have known my fiancé, 41 female, for 7 years. We have 2 ours children, 4 male and 1 female. And my fiancé has a son, 10 male, from his previous marriage. I met his son, whom I call my stepson even though we are not technically married, when he was 4. Since I've been around, my fiancé and his ex have used a simple strategy to send my stepson's belongings back and forth between the 2 houses. The fiancé used to pack a backpack with anything that his son needed for the next few days. School supplies, sports gear, clothing. and drop it off with his son at school. His ex would pick up their son, keep anything that belonged at our house, and return anything that belonged to us on the next drop-off day. Easy. Over the years, my stepson's mother has sent disparaging texts accusing us of keeping the clothing she buys for him at our house for too long. She says he never has enough clothes there and wants us to send everything back as soon as possible, even if it's not clean yet. My fiancé has refused to acknowledge her request, so usually the task falls on my shoulders. I wash laundry religiously and make sure to pack and label a bag with all of the clothing she has requested, placing it in my stepson's backpack. I usually ask my stepson to make sure he takes the clothing out of his backpack when he returns to his mother's house because she forgets to check his backpack. Today, both my stepson and my 4-year-old had basketball practice at the YMCA. My stepson was scheduled to be with his mother for the weekend, but on Saturdays she always brings him up to the Y for a few hours so he can play, and then he goes back to her place. On our way out, I grabbed a jacket my stepson had left behind. It belonged to his mother's house. Since we were going to see him, I thought it would be easier to return it now. I also figured he would show up to the gym without a coat on a cold day, as his mother rarely dresses him appropriately for the weather. When we, fiancé, me, our 2 kids, got into the car, my fiancé saw me holding the jacket and lost it on me. He tore into me about how I was immature, petty, and rude for sending all of his son's clothing away from our house. He said I have been doing it for years, because I hate to see anything at our house that my stepson's mother has bought. He said I was making our stepson feel like he wasn't welcome in our home, and that it was an unfair burden for a 10-year-old to have to make sure all of his belongings are returned to their prospective houses several times per week. I actually agree with that last point. I've been saying for years this schlepping feels unfair to the boy. I told my fiancé he was the a-hole for blowing up on me in front of our kids. I told him that if I was the a-hole, then he and his ex were too, because I was just following a system they started. I told him it was way too easy for him to see me in a negative light instead of becoming curious about why I was so adamant about returning his son's belongings quickly. I also told him that he was now solely responsible for managing his son's belongings because I didn't need the drama tied to it. And I didn't need to be unfairly painted as a wicked stepmother. Oh, and my stepson definitely showed up to the Y without a coat. He was cold. He also let us know the coat I grabbed was actually his mother's. She'd let him borrow it, but wanted it back because her new husband had just gifted it to her recently. I'm struggling to see how I'm the a-hole. Am I? Both my fiancé and his ex have called me the a-hole for many reasons since I've been in this relationship. Help, please. I understand why she divorced him. He sucks. He's negligent, abandons his responsibilities, and when you angelically try to pick up the slack, he berates you with an ungodly temper. Not a-hole. My ex-sister-in-law would send the kids to their dad without any appropriate clothes, so we were always buying them new clothes. But she had terrorized them about their things that would freak out if my brother tried to keep any of them at his house. He was paying a lot of child support and alimony, so she was not scraping by. She was just being vindictive. Update. I've only just realized that I let the men I call my family and friends ruin my marriage. Original post. I've been divorced for almost 2 years, and a few weeks ago my father, 67 male, my brothers, 37 male and 40 male, and 4 friends, 35 male, 37 male, 38 and 41 male, while very drunk, joked about how they can't believe I left my wife. They said that they all tried to get with her since the divorce, but she had repeatedly rejected them, saying it would be inappropriate and unkind to do such a thing to me. I laughed at what they were saying, just to ease them into saying more. And once they thought I found it funny, they really opened up. They had all purposely made me feel paranoid about my ex-wife cheating on me and using me, because why would a woman like her be with a man like me if it wasn't for the money I made? They often hinted at, or sometimes even directly said, that she wore the pants in the relationship, and that she was only with me because I'm easily manipulated. They constantly planted negative things into my mind. If I wanted to talk with them about something happening in my relationship, they would put a negative twist to it, or they'd purposely give me bad advice. Then, when I lost my job during COVID, they all hinted at how she's definitely cheating, now that there's no financial benefit in being faithful to me. I obviously trusted them and often took their words to heart, and it ruined my marriage. I frequently argued with my wife, and I was always accusing her of something or suspecting her of not really loving me. I questioned everything that was between us. I often told her BS things, like how I'm a high-value man and that she needed to appreciate me. And when I was not working for 6 months, I flipped the script and started accusing her of not respecting me for not working. I was unappreciative of all her hard work and for being the one who took care of our household bills and any other bill during those 6 months of unemployment. I continued to let their words drive me into paranoia, and I started accusing her of cheating with her coworkers. Eventually, my wife had enough of my moods, constant mistrust, and accusations. She left me, and to be honest, for a long time it felt like it came out of nowhere, and so I had myself convinced she left me for another man. Now here I am knowing that every man I've called my family, my friend, were all my enemies who I let destroy my marriage. I obviously lost my mind once they were done telling me all the ways they conspired to ruin my marriage, and we did get to blows. Then cut off all contact with each and every one of them. I want to reach out to my ex and make amends and hopefully get her back. My ex-wife has agreed to meet up with me, and she doesn't know exactly what I want to discuss with her, and I don't know how to go about making amends and hopefully mending our relationship. How do I tell her how much I regret everything, and that I want her to give me a second chance? Is there even a chance for us? Edit. Some of y'all keep saying you took the words of your friends over your wife's, and I don't think that's a fair or complete assessment. I trusted my father and brothers. My father was the main driving force behind this manipulation campaign. And it's not often that your entire family is conspiring against you. And not only your family, but also your friends. I'm not running away from accepting the fact that it is wholly my fault in how my marriage ended. I take ownership of that. I take ownership of the fact that I accused my wife of being a cheater or a user. I regret it all. If my ex-wife doesn't accept my apology, I would accept it gracefully. If she said she never wanted to talk to me or ever get back together, I'd also accept it. I would not stand in the way, and I would not try to change her mind. I would wish her well and leave her be. Now for the top advice before reading the update. So are you telling me that your dad and brothers also tried to get with your wife? I'm shocked they are still alive after a confession like that. I don't know, man. Bahamians are just too volatile to hear something like that to not go off. That's just vile. I didn't include the violence that broke out once heard it all, because I didn't want to get my post banned. Blood was absolutely spilled. And of course I had myself beat because it was 7 against 1. But I did do damage, and an ambulance and the police were called. None of us pressed charges against each other and left it at that. Honestly, I'm still raging, and I've been heartbroken since. What pieces of turd are these family members and friends? Wasn't enough they ruined your life, they ganged up on you instead of being apologetic AF and de-escalating. Shaking my head. I know you can't go John Wick on them, but isn't there any legal framework for a defamation lawsuit you could start on behalf of your wife against all of them? I've decided I wasn't going to let these people steal one more second of my time. I don't think there's much I can do legally, and even if there is a legal framework for it, I wouldn't even waste any time on it. That relationship is dead, dude, and you killed it. Sure, meet up and explain everything you learned and apologize for your wrongs, but besides closure, I don't think you should expect anything more. Seconding this, if I was laid off and my wife was working, I'd be appreciative AF, to be honest, a 50s housewife with back hair. Only been laid off once luckily, but my unemployment ended up being a long weekend. They got into his head, it's done. He can maybe get closure and give her some, but I can't see it being rekindled. Now that I look back at things, I absolutely see how unappreciative I was of her kindness and her dedication to me. Even reading this has genuinely hurt me because I really let these men, especially my father, play with my mind. I can't even come close to imagining how much I hurt her with my distrust. Now for the update. On Sunday, I got to meet up with my ex-wife. I apologized profusely and she was kind and understanding, but said she couldn't and wouldn't forgive me. She said that it simply isn't in her nature to forgive, and that despite it all, she holds no grudges or anger against me, and wishes me nothing but goodness in my life. She did give me some advice, and told me that I have been in an abusive relationship all my life, and that in order to heal whatever is broken in me, that I should cut out my father, as he sets the tone for my treatment by the rest of my family. She had pointed out the many ways my father has hurt me or had encouraged my family to mistreat me. She said I'd always be stagnated and unhappy if I continued to associate myself with my family and former friends. I told her that I cut them out of my life and that I've got my first therapy session scheduled in a few days. She said she was proud of me for taking my first step into healing. Our conversation was heartfelt and emotionally devastating as we discussed the many ways our marriage had failed, as well as the abuse I've experienced by my father and family. We cried the entire time. We cried a lot. We ended our conversation with a long hug and then we said our goodbyes. If any of your brothers/friends are married or have girlfriends, tell them exactly what they did. All of them work together to manipulate you, then all try to sleep with your ex. They are monstrously manipulative and evil. And quite besides revenge, these women need to know their partners are abusive and manipulating them deliberately and cheating, if they were in a relationship during this time. I would send a group text to all the wives/girlfriends. Send them screenshots of their messages as well as this Reddit post. You're not seeking revenge, just paying it forward. I've heard of toxic families, but man, what your family did to you is unreal. And led by your dad? Damn, what kind of parent does that to their child? I hope you move on and pass their BS. So sorry they did those things to you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Too bad she can't forgive, because that's an important step in emotional maturity. I wish you healing and happiness. Forgiveness is earned through changed behavior and recognition of your harm, but it isn't guaranteed or something you deserve. Some things shouldn't be forgiven, but that doesn't mean it eats away at a person or that it somehow holds them back. So I do agree with her when she said that you don't need to forgive in order to heal or gain emotional maturity. And sometimes forgiveness is not even an option. For her, this is one of those things that she simply can't and won't forgive, and all she can do is accept it. As much as I'd like her forgiveness, it is simply not available to me, and that's perfectly fine. Now leave her alone and continue to work on yourself. Next story. I told my mom to do us all a favor and finally overdose. My mom, if you'd like to call her that, was absent for the first 11 years of my life due to her addiction. She got clean a year later and then relapsed when I was 17. I always used to cry myself to sleep, wondering why pills are more important. All she had to do was choose us and say no. She would never do it. We were never good enough for her to stay clean. Why do I feel like I lost something that I never had? Fast forward to now. I'm 21. I have accepted that all I have is pictures of my mom and I'll never have a real one. But every time I picture her, all I feel is pain. In fact, all 8 of us will never have a mother, bar the youngest who's adopted. The second and third youngest are in foster care. Even though they aren't my dad's, he is trying to adopt them to keep us all together. Anyway, it was my 21st not too long ago. My mother stumbled in. You could immediately tell she was on a calm down and rambling to anyone who would listen to how she raised us. She loved us, she cared about us, and how my father snatched that away from her. I walked right up to her, and with a 20-year dialogue of pain, anger, and everything I wanted to say, scream at her. I'm in a room with a parent that I barely know. You'll say to anyone that you're proud of me, but you don't know me. You should have been there when I graduated, congratulating me and telling me you loved me, but you were strung out on drugs. Telling me you love me, but it isn't real. If you really cared for me, then where have you been? You've had over 25 years to get yourself together and be a mother. You should have been there for us. I don't get it. I am humiliated. We needed you. I needed you. We were too young to understand. I was nothing but a kid who couldn't understand. All I feel is pain when I look at you and think about you. Just do us a favor and end our suffering, and finally overdose. And let's just say after I screamed that in her face, I felt relieved. I finally felt a bit of happiness mixed with sorrow, but it was calming. I guess I'm grieving for the mother I never had in a sense. Her side of the family are refusing to speak to me or any of my siblings, as they call it punishment until I apologize. My siblings were proud of me and said they'd do what I did in a heartbeat. My dad said it wasn't the best place or time, but is proud of me for expressing how I feel. I don't really know how I feel anymore. Like, I do feel guilty. Like, maybe I shouldn't have said it. I don't really know, other than I'm hurting. Now for the top comments. I'm not sure if you and your sibs are in therapy or not, but if you want a free/low commitment option, you can join Alcoholic Anonymous. It's a support group for family of addicts. And they also have Teen Al-Anon. I forgot the group name, but they also have one called something like Adult Children of Addicts. for those who grew up in that situation and how it impacts their adulthood. All of these groups have local and online meetings. We've been in therapy for as long as I can remember. I think I started therapy when I was roughly 2 or 3, and it was play therapy or something along those lines, due to her trying to end us among a whole load of abuse when it was her weekend to take care of us. Was it the best place? Maybe not. But if no lies were told, you have nothing to apologize for. Her family can enable her delusions and her lifestyle if they want, but there is nothing to apologize for. Exactly. Why the enabling? It's insanity. I don't think it's enabling. As such, I think it's more optics. OP saying what she said means that the extended family had a camera turned on their own actions, etc. And that's what got them angry. I know optics and enabling do sometimes go hand in hand. Poor OP. Last story. My dad's partner keeps trying to psychologically harm me, but I can't help laughing at her futile attempts. I'll start this by giving some background info. My 18 male, parents 53 male, 46 female, divorced when I was 6 on good terms. They got shared custody of me, and I'd spend half a week at my mom's and half a week at my dad's. Around a year after the divorce, my dad got together with his current partner, who we'll call Amy, 42 female. She has 2 children, 14 female and 12 male, from her previous marriage. I'm pretty close with them, and we get along well. Unfortunately, me and Amy never really got close, but we also never fought. That was until around half a year ago where, out of nowhere, she did a complete 180. She started giving me the passive-aggressive treatment and made remarks about every single thing I did. Back then, I had no idea what was her reason, but I recently found out. And let me tell you, she's petty AF. My dad's dream ever since he started working was being able to retire early. After working at the same bank for over 25 years and saving a big portion of every paycheck, he managed to retire last year. I'm really proud of him because he decided to use his free time to work on himself. He started to eat a lot healthier and has been working out daily. This led him to losing over 40 pounds. As it turns out, Amy's not as enthusiastic about it as I am. She's really envious. I'm not entirely sure as to why, but I'm guessing it has something to do with her poor financial decisions in the past. Unfortunately for me, she's the type of person that bows down to the strong but bullies the weak. She knows that my dad won't take her nonsense, so she decided that I'm the next best target. My dad's place has 3 bedrooms, which means her kids have to share the biggest one. Since I'll be going to college in a couple of months, I told my dad that I'll give my bedroom to one of them. My sister got really happy because she's about to start high school and she desperately needs some privacy. Because of it, Amy came to the conclusion that since I'll be gone in a couple of months, she can start treating me like crap. Here are a couple of examples which came to mind because of how stupid they were. She would scream at me if I failed more than 1/4 of the bathtub, which, mind you, is not even a big bathtub, as I barely fit inside as a 6 feet 4 inches guy. I chalked it up to her being an environmental freak all of a sudden. She wants me to do my dishes, which is understandable and I have no problem doing. What I have a problem with is her not letting me use more than 1 set of dishes. She doesn't allow me to touch any other dishes besides that one, and doesn't even allow her own children to touch mine as if I had a bubonic plague or something. Last week, I bought microwavable popcorn and started making it. When she heard a popping sound, she appeared in the kitchen out of nowhere and started grabbing every bowl so I would have to eat out of the bag. She hid the bowls under her blanket, like some toddler. I audibly chuckled because of how ridiculous this was, and she immediately started shouting something along the lines of, "How dare you laugh at me?" I have a long blonde hair which is the same length/color as her daughter's. Once, she stormed into my room and started demanding I clean the bathroom sink because, and I quote, "Your disgusting hair is all over the sink. Clean it now." The problem is, I just came back from school and haven't been to the toilet that day. I told her that the hair was not mine, and that is probably her daughter's, to which she said that is not possible because only your hair looks so repelling. Now, mind you, this only happens when my dad's not around. She once tried this nonsense when he was around, and he immediately shut it down. He's been nothing but understanding and has talked to her numerous times, but she always resumes her usual behavior after things settle down. I don't know if any of you found yourself in a similar situation, but I'd appreciate any advice on how to deal with it. Like I said, I'm moving away for college, but I want to be able to visit my dad without having to participate in emotional warfare. Edit 1. I've seen some people asking why my dad married her. The answer is he didn't. As much as they might have had feelings for each other at some point, their relationship currently is basically strictly practical. She needs someone to help her with the kids and a place to live, while he needs someone to be around. The entirety of my dad's family is either dead or live so far away that they see each other every couple of years. As for friends, my dad used to be a workaholic, so he only has like 2 close friends who he sees semi-frequently. Laugh at her. Simple and effective. At every petty comment, laugh at her. She wants a reaction? Give her the one that will screw her more. Don't engage in smile and laugh. Don't give a rise for argument. That's what I've been doing for some time now, but it only seems to make the comments more frequent. I can't wait till I get away from her. They're more frequent because she's not getting to you. Maybe record one of her tantrums and send it to your dad, and then every time she tries again, get your cell phone out. Another commenter also suggested recording this stuff. Might actually look into doing it. We'll see. Damn it, man. I know what it is like to have such a horrible step-parent, unfortunately. My best advice would be to cover your back by having your phone recording as many interactions with her as possible. I'm not a fan of hidden cameras, but when someone is mistreating you, it is the best way to prove what is going on. Keep your phone in your pocket so that it isn't so obvious. Who knows though, maybe being obvious and recording her actions when she starts up is exactly the wake-up call she needs. She will be upset, but so what? She will just have to get over it. Not a bad idea, though I feel like it won't change much.